You know the number one place where you should go if you can't afford a vacation? You should go here. ZipRecruiter. You need to find a better job that pays you better, pays you more, and then you can afford to pay for vacation. How Americans are paying for vacation.
The average vacation cost for one person in the United States is a little under $2,000 per week.
More than a third of summer vacationers, 36%, are willing to take on debt this summer for their travels. The reason that's worrisome is because the average credit card charges over 20%, which is close to a record high. I don't want to tell people they can't have any fun, but this...
Why are you going on vacation when you don't have money? Like, shouldn't you be working? Shouldn't you be grinding? Or shouldn't you just stay doing a staycation? I don't know, take your dogs out on a walk, hit up your friend and go hang out somewhere in town. Like, if you don't have money, go to Walmart, go to Target. I used to take a trip to the mall to just, have fun because I was broke and I didn't have money to do things. If these people swiping their cards to pay for their vacation and they can't afford to pay off the balance at the end of the month, they're paying 20+% in interest just for the vacation. Why are you doing that, bro?
It represents a lot of people taking on expensive debt. And this is the kind of thing that can linger.
Globally, 72% of millennials and 65% of Gen Zs said they plan on spending more on leisure travel in 2024 compared to 2023. In the US, 47% of millennials and 42% of Gen Zs said they plan to take on debt to go on summer vacation.
There are so many compelling reasons why people choose to take on debt to have these vacations. If your kids are dreaming of going to Disney World.
Do people still go to Disney World? Like, it's so expensive now. Just go to, I don't know, go somewhere else.
And there's no way the family could ever really swing it without going into debt. It could be a memory the family will have forever. Parents often can rationalize spending in these terms for their children.
Here's how Americans are paying for their summer vacations.
Jesus, taking on credit card debts, taking out a loan just to go on vacation. If you don't have money and you want to create memories with your kids, take them go eat ice cream, take them to the park, teach them how to change your car oil. I don't know, find things to do if you don't have money.
Credit cards are the most common way people pay for their vacations. 62% of Americans surveyed said they put at least some of their trip on a credit card. Financial experts say that this can be a risky move if the borrower cannot pay the balance in time to not be charged interest.
The average credit card balance is already over $6,000, according to TransUnion. If you add $1,000 in vacation expenses to that, maybe it feels like a drop in the bucket, but it just makes it that much harder. That's $6,200. If you make minimum payments at the average interest rate of 20.7%, you're going to be in debt for 18 years, and you're going to pay more than $9,000 in interest. So Some of this is making a bad situation.
You borrow $6,000, pay it off in 18 years. The interest is $9,000, which is a lot more than the money that you borrow.
The debt, it feels like this trade-off for a lot of people. It's ultimately the interchange between money for these lifelong memories and seminal experiences. And that's a sacrifice many are not only willing to make, but feel so strongly in doing so. Especially when...
I get it. If you want to create memories, you want to enjoy life and you want to do things, right? But the thing is, you don't have money, dude. Get back to work. I didn't go on vacations for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years for the longest time. And I was working 2 jobs. Did I feel bad for myself? Yeah. But no one was going to save my ass. So the only thing I could do is to improve myself and keep working. You know, the number one place where you should go if you can't afford a vacation? You should go here. ZipRecruiter. You need to find a better job that pays you better, pays you more, and then you can afford to pay for vacation.
Debt is a weight many people are already accustomed to carrying.
Consumers are still out there using their credit cards. Their credit card balances are over $1 trillion now. We're seeing actual delinquencies on credit now rising. People are dipping into their savings. But bottom line is that they're still spending.
Not all credit card users are paying interest. 43% of Americans said they used their credit cards to pay for their trips, but paid it off in full to avoid interest.
Good.
This also comes with the perk of accumulating rewards points.
Cash back, baby.
Use those rewards points and miles. Put those to use. But it doesn't make sense to pay 20% interest just to get 2 or 3 or 4% cash back or airline miles.
In order to avoid interest while still having more time to pay off the credit card balance, some vacationers choose to open a new credit card that provides them with 0% interest for a set period of time.
The risk here is that once the term expires, the rate goes way up.
The company that's doing this is they banking on the fact that you will forget about that. Oh, after 1 year, you're going to start paying interest. So the people that didn't realize that 1 year has gone by, going to start paying interest. And apparently there are a lot of people who do that. So that's why these credit card companies keep offering it.
Another option vacationers are considering is taking out a loan for their trip. 5% of vacationers plan to take out a personal loan from a financial institution, which typically carries a lower interest rate than credit cards. The average interest rate of a personal loan in June 2024 was about 12%. 6% of those surveyed said they plan to borrow from friends or family.
Both of those represent a slippery slope. Personal loan rates have gone up a lot.
That debt equals irresponsible is so pejorative and such a simplistic way of looking at this, that there's all different reasons and rationales why we might intentionally go into debt. People don't think taking out a mortgage for a home and making this a lifelong investment is irresponsible, but it can be a really bad investment in a lot of cases. So you have to consider, where is it important for you to invest your money? And maybe it is this trip with these lifelong memories with your family that you'll never get back.
Another option is loaning money to yourself out of a 401k account. A loan is different from a 401k withdrawal. Withdrawals have different rules
fees
and tax implications.
Yeah.
Loans are not permitted from IRA or IRA-based plans. The reason someone may go this route is instead of paying interest to a financial institution, they would pay themselves back over time with interest. That payment will go back into their retirement account and eventually accumulate compound interest.
Borrowing from your retirement plan definitely worries me because really the biggest predictor of future returns is time in the market. So even though we don't know what stocks are going to do this week or this month or this year, over the long haul, they've been massive wealth builders. So I feel like that would be more of a last resort if there's kind of an emergency. Going on vacation is not an emergency. It is interesting how, while you could say on one hand that it's worrisome that credit card balances are near record highs and the personal saving rate is near a record low, this is powering a lot of economic growth. But what's good for the economy is not always good for your household finances.
Consumer spending makes up nearly 70% of US GDP, which means a rise in consumer spending can spur economic growth. But a rise in consumer debt can lead to a hard pullback in spending, which can cause what's called deflation.
Deflation is just generally associated with not just recessions, but deep recessions in the economy.
A recession occurs when there's, quote, a significant decline in economic activity that is spread across the economy and lasts more than a few months.
Historically speaking, deflation means that prices are actually coming down. And the reason why prices are coming down is because people aren't spending money. The reason why people aren't spending money is because they don't have jobs and they can't afford to go out take a trip to Hawaii or go out and buy a new Lexus or do those kind of things. They're just kind of trying to tread water and they're not even doing that. So therefore, prices are going to have to keep coming down.
It's important to remember that there's not just one consumer story.
You have the same consumer that might be out there spending on travel, going to events, whether it's concerts or sporting events, which we are seeing very, very clearly, and that's driving some of these travel trends. And they're doing it in a way that's really strategic. At the same time, that same strategic consumer might be walking into a store and really thinking carefully about how they're spending, looking for the best promotion, the best discount. So it's not one story for the consumer. And I think that's really important because it creates a lot of complications in the narrative, because you have consumers looking for discounts, you have consumers looking for promotions, and you have consumers that want to make their dollars work the best they can in the way that works for them.
Financial experts say the key to affording a vacation is to plan ahead. Advisors say the first step is figuring out what you want to spend and to set a budget for the trip.
Yeah, what happened to a traveling jar, whatever people, they just put some money in there a little bit every day, save up for a vacation. Like, don't people do that anymore? Like, I just hate how the buy now, pay later is so normalized now. Like, people just feel like they deserve it before they even, work for it. Like, it's the other way around, buddy. You got to work for it first, and then you can enjoy your fruit. Like, you got to plant the tree, take care of it, and then years later, the tree will grow and, you know, start bearing fruits. You don't just eat the fruit and plant the tree later. That's just not how it works. Oh man.
This is our allowance for food, and this is our allowance for trips or activities. So you can kind of make sure your behavior is consistent with your values. Because money on trips can feel like monopoly money. I had a client I worked with who decided they were going to stay in an Airbnb and they were going to cook all of their food. So they were going to save on food and they were going to splurge on this boat trip they were really excited about. And it felt like a compromise.
The next step after establishing a budget would be making a plan to save.
You can start small and daily. Maybe you're going to set aside a little bit of money each day or each paycheck to this dream vacation. And it can be helpful to have kind of a calculation set up.
On top of setting aside the money, you can also find small ways to save on costs to make the most of your trip.
There are
Don't tip.
plenty of ways to save.
Find small
That
ways
be
to save on
wrong.
costs to make the most of your trip.
Yeah, save on cost by not
There are
tipping. Why are we tipping barista? They literally get paid to make coffee and hand the coffee to you. Can we get rid of this screen, please? Like, you call my name, I walk up to the counter, and then I get my own coffee. Why am I tipping you?
There are plenty of ways to save. You can have fun on a budget. You can use your frequent
See? Cooking. Staycation.
flyer miles or credit card points. You could be open-minded
Take the dogs out. It's free.
about when and where you go. Kind of zig when others zag. Maybe travel in the off season or the shoulder season, or drive instead of fly, or travel midweek instead.
Drive instead of fly. Sometimes it makes sense to just fly because driving can take, driving can take 8 hours, and then you got to pay for gas, and then you got to actively sit there and drive. Or you can just take a 2 hours flight.
Instead of on the weekend. If you can let the deal dictate the destination, that can really help you out. Flexibility is key.
There's times when you just have to be realistic. If you financially can't swing a vacation, can you get creative? Can you find a way to take a break from your life or mimic a vacation
There you go. Read a book. Free.
without the big expense?
Maybe even do a staycation. I think
That's what I've been trying to say, bro. Staycation. It's free.
that's an underrated option. This idea of playing tourist in your local area. So there's a way to have fun without busting the budget.
Nearly half of Americans said they plan to skip their summer vacation, with 65% of them saying affordability was the main issue.
I kind of worry about both of those extremes. You know, you have the people that are paying 20 or 25 or 30% extra to go on vacation, which is not great. But then you also have a lot of people skipping the trip entirely, which may be
Netflix.
regrettable later on.
There's a ratio between the money being spent and the amount of time of your trip, and only you can decide if that experience, the memories of the 5-day vacation, is valuable enough to commit to having to worry about paying it off for months in the future.
Oh man, if you're watching this video and you have a vacation plan ahead and you use credit card to pay, cancel it. Get a refund. Don't do it if you can't afford to pay at the end of the month.